Hello students, this is Mr. Rummelhart with our screencast about poetry. Alright, today we're going to be looking at poetry as a creative form. And poetry is a really great thing. There's a lot of creative ways to express yourself. But one of the downsides is because there are so many different options, it can be hard to understand all the different types and all the different rules that have to do with poetry. This screencast is going to guide you in independent learning. In other words, you are going to go out and learn about the poetry without my help on your own. And then you're going to take a try at writing some poems. So let's take a look at your assignment. If you open up this Poetry Tic-Tac-Toe in your drive, it should be labeled Poetry Tic-Tac-Toe. You can just copy and paste that or search it by using that video. And if you don't have that already up, please pause the video and pull that up in your Google Drive. Our directions say, after reading The Dot, as a class, we discussed some themes that were taken from the story, all relating to the ideas of self-identity, awareness, and discovery. Write a thematic statement that applies to one of these ideas. So the first step is to write out a statement. Please do it in this line right here, as I've highlighted in bold right now. And write out that thematic statement that fits the story. Once you do that, you're going to apply your understanding of this theme or thematic statement through the writing of poetry. And you have a tic-tac-toe menu with you, and I really encourage you to scroll down. It's not just these 3 poems. There is a whole nother page with 6 other poetry types. Now, some of these types are going to be familiar to you. For example, you might know what a concrete poem is, or you might know what a haiku is. Others will be totally different. For example, if you look at ode over here, you may not know anything about an ode or anything about a limerick in this section over here. And that's okay. I provided examples for you. If you look at the bottom of each box, for example, I have an example of a Diamante poem and a brief description of how you create a poem. Now, some of them might be pretty easy to pick up. For example, a concrete poem. Let's say you've never heard of one of those before. You read the definition as here, a poetry in which the words takes on the shape of the subject. And then you see the example. We have an example of a shoe, and that's really not difficult to do. You could probably pick that up pretty easy. Other understandings of these might be more difficult. You may not know what an ode is. You may not know what a sonnet is. And even after reading my example, you may say, I still don't get it. How do I accomplish something like that? Well, we're going to use our research skills. The first part of this is learning, reading, going through, trying these different poetry types. So take a look. There's a link to different forms of poetry. It takes you to the glossary of poetic terms. Now, let's say your link's not working, or for some reason you don't have the page open as you're supposed to. Simply typing in poetry types into Google, and spelling it right would be important, will get you to Poetry Foundation, which has this glossary of poetic terms. On here, if you scroll down, there is alphabetically laid out all the different types of poetry and different poem types. So you can really look at those and understand them a little bit better. For example, if we look down at let's see here if we can find one, a haiku. A haiku is a good poem to understand through an explanation. And there's some great examples, one written here and some that you can link to as well. Now, let's say you still don't understand, even after looking at this glossary of poetic terms, or you want to know something specifically, just really a lot of information about one poem. Maybe this acrostic definition doesn't do it for you. So you can use your research skills, type it into Google. And even using Wikipedia or this young writer's website, you can see a bunch of different free examples. You can try your own, and you can get lesson plans for yourself of how to do this. That's step 1. That's the independent learning. Then you're going to go back and you're going to try actually writing your own poem that fits that original theme that you wrote. Remember, that's step 1. Try it. Try a couple different types. I really recommend 2 to 3 types to get a good sense of the different poems and to really give yourself the best opportunity to understand them. If you have any questions, you can remember, use your research skills or email me. But I really want you to try and be independent in this project and learn by yourself. All right. I hope you have a good day, students. Thanks.